Hello, hello! Today, under the arm of part 1 of hashtag This Is My EDS, I wanted to go through the mobility aids I use as someone with Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome. Again, EDS is very diverse. There are different types of disability within the community. So while I use these devices, it is not going to be the same for every single person with EDS. My state of EDS keeps me in bed a lot of the time for several different reasons. But if I want to get out of bed, I basically have two options: legs or wheels. From there, I can get more specific, and then it's actually really more like 5 or 6 options. Legs, we got A, getting around with no aids at all. B, using orthopedic shoes, ankle and knee braces. C, using a cane. D, a combination of A and C, meaning no braces and a cane. Or E, a combination of B and C, meaning braces and a cane. And wheels, I have 2 options there. I can either use a manual chair or a power chair. So first thing that I think is really important to try and communicate to you all is how disability can be very fluid, depending on the person, the diagnosis, the disability itself. So my ability to stand and walk is very limited due to chronic pain, joint hypermobility, dysautonomia, and some cardiovascular issues. Because of all those things combined, my standing limit it can fall anywhere between a couple of seconds to maybe a couple of minutes maximum. I think the most amount of time that I was able to keep standing, and that was with a cane, leaning on the cane and shifting my weight, maybe 15 minutes was the absolute most that I could do. So now that you know that it's fluid, meaning based on my symptoms and whatever's going on, I'm going to need a different device. I want to talk about when exactly those times are that I will be using those devices. So around my home or small and or private spaces, I can sometimes get around with no aids at all. And that's, if I'm just moving a few feet at a time. And I need spaces to sit available to me consistently. And what really, really helps is being comfortable in the space and knowing the layout of the space. So that way I don't get surprised by any, steps that I don't know about or uneven floors. Because if I run into that, I can very easily injure myself, usually in my ankles. If I'm seen using a cane, it's a similar thing. I have to be expected to only move around a few feet at a time. So in order to use my cane out in public, it's usually to spaces like a restaurant or a house party where there's a stool available for me or a couch where I can sit the majority of the time. And then, it varies on and off, moving with my cane, without my cane, depending on how I feel. And of course, in order to get there, the traveling has to be a short distance, such as the option of getting dropped off right in front, so that I just have to walk for a few steps into the location, the restaurant, the house, whichever space I'm headed to, or a disabled parking space that's right in front, and then walk from my car into the space. And the cane is often used, as a safety precaution in case one of my joints kind of gives out. Usually it's my knees or my ankles. I have my cane there to kind of catch my fall, to lean on, so that way I don't actually crash to the ground. It's a safety thing, as well as it allows me to relieve some of the pressure off my joints by leaning on it. If I'm in a space with my cane or without my cane, if I'm using my legs and I am forced to stand for longer than my limit allows, 3 things can happen, I guess. One is I'm in so much pain, but I catch it enough to sit myself down on the floor. 2, my dysautonomia, my cardiovascular issues, they can take over, and the pain can get too high, and either of those things can cause me to faint. And 3, what was 3? I sit down, I faint, or I injure myself. So those are the 3 things that can happen if I don't watch my limits. Because of my limited ability to stand and walk, pretty much if I'm outside, the majority of the time, I'm going to be in a wheelchair because that's typically what I need to be out and about. My first wheelchair was a pretty standard black Invacare wheelchair. I liked it, but I was still able to get out quite a bit back then, so I wore it down rather quickly within the first year of having it. My second manual wheelchair was a Quickie GTX, which was an improvement, but ultimately all the pushing I was doing was stretching out the joints in my arms, and it caused a lot of damage to my wrists and affected my elbows and shoulders as well. And from that point, basically, if I wanted to be independent and mobile, I needed a power chair, which I got a prescription for, but basically, long story short, insurance did not want to cover it. Ever been ghosted by an insurance company or a doctor before? Because I'm tired of it. Thankfully, it took like a year of crowdfunding, but I finally raised enough to purchase myself the Easy Light Cruiser, which is an amazing power chair. It folds, it reclines for my back pain. It's just amazing. Sometimes I've considered getting myself a cane with a seat or a rollator with a seat for like medium-sized trips, like 10-minute trips into the pharmacy or the grocery store, because I've tried to do them with my cane, because it felt needless to do so much physical labor of taking my chair out of the car for such a short trip. But it's left me on the ground in public because of the pain pretty much every time. Right, that was really complicated. I hope you got something out of that. But basically, depending on my pain levels, my fatigue levels, the amount of laxity in my joints at any given time, those are all the various mobility aids that I need in order to be out of bed. So let me know, do you have various mobility aids like I do? Or maybe this is your first time realizing that wheelchair users might have other ways of getting around. Don't be ashamed, because you are definitely not alone in that. Alright, well, okay. Happy EDS Awareness Month. I will be back with more stuff, and I will see you eventually. Bye.